Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe is inviting all provinces to join the new West Partnership Trade Agreement.
We're seeing lots of memorandums of understanding being signed, lots of meetings.
Saskatchewan just dropped a bombshell that could reshape North America's entire energy landscape forever.
We as Canadians find ourselves in one of the most challenging positions in recent history with the imposition of tariffs.
Our goal is to continue with the relationship with the United States.
Premier Scott Moe quietly orchestrates a masterstroke that puts Saskatchewan in the driver's seat of continental energy politics. But this isn't just about oil anymore, and what he is planning will make you question everything you thought you knew about Canada's energy future.
Saskatchewan is joining Alberta in its plan with Ontario to potentially build new energy and trade infrastructure.
Do you think you understand pipeline politics? Think again. Saskatchewan's latest move isn't some desperate reaction to American pressure. It's a calculated chess move that positions them as the kingmaker in North America's energy game. While politicians in Ottawa fumble around with platitudes and half measures, Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe just announced that his province will pre-approve pipeline projects, essentially telling the federal government to step aside.
It's the latest push to reduce barriers to interprovincial trade.
But wait, there's more to this story than meets the eye. The timing couldn't be more perfect or more suspicious, depending on how you look at it. Just as President Trump cranks up his tariff threats and Canada scrambles to protect its economy, Saskatchewan suddenly becomes the hero offering solutions. Coincidence? I think not.
We send about 65% of our exports in Saskatchewan to the U.S.
Here's where things get really interesting. Saskatchewan didn't just wake up one morning and decide to revolutionize pipeline politics. They've been quietly building toward this moment for months, extending their oil infrastructure program until 2029 and offering a mind-blowing 20% royalty tax credit up to $40 million for qualifying pipeline projects. That's not pocket change. That's serious money designed to attract serious players.
And right now, Moe is inviting all Canadian premiers to go ahead and join, saying that this is a fast, efficient, and a proven way to eliminate some of those barriers.
Remember when everyone thought the pipeline wars were over? Well, Saskatchewan just proved that assumption dead wrong. The province has now joined forces with Alberta and Ontario in what they're calling a collaborative framework to explore multiple pipeline and rail corridors. It means they're building a network that could bypass American infrastructure entirely.
Prairie provinces are partnering together.
Now here's where the plot thickens. While everyone's been fixated on east-west pipelines and fighting over Trans Mountain, Saskatchewan's been thinking bigger. Their new agreement doesn't just focus on moving Western oil to Ontario refineries. They're talking about connecting Ontario's critical minerals from the Ring of Fire region to Western Canadian ports. That's a complete game changer for North American supply chains.
It didn't take tariffs and it didn't take those geopolitical challenges for the New West Partnership to move forward.
Actually, let me paint you the real picture here. Saskatchewan isn't just playing defense against Trump's tariffs. They're going on offense. By pre-approving pipeline projects and streamlining regulatory processes, they're essentially telling energy companies, come to us, we'll get things done while others debate. It's brilliant, ruthless, and absolutely necessary.
When it comes to advancing these goals, it's undeniable that there is strength in numbers.
Consider the numbers for a moment. Canada sends nearly all its crude oil to the United States, giving America enormous leverage over Canadian energy policy. But Saskatchewan's new strategy could flip that dynamic entirely. Instead of being dependent on American markets, they're creating alternative routes to global markets through Canadian ports.
We cannot achieve our shared provincial goals without cooperation from the federal government.
Meanwhile, the federal government in Ottawa continues to stumble through energy policy like a low-drunk person trying to solve a Rubik's Cube. Prime Minister Carney talks tough about steel tariffs and trade wars, but it's provinces like Saskatchewan that are actually doing something concrete about energy independence.
Looking at procuring services, goods from Indigenous-owned businesses and from Northern businesses first.
Yet here's what nobody's talking about: the Indigenous angle. Saskatchewan's pipeline push includes significant Indigenous ownership components, backed by massive loan guarantees. TC Energy's network already spans 25,000 kilometers, and with Indigenous partnerships expanding, we're looking at a completely different ownership structure for North American energy infrastructure.
We're concerned about the retaliatory tariffs as well, which will just, put a lot of pain and suffering on both sides of the border.
Actually, the timing reveals something fascinating about political strategy. Saskatchewan announced their pipeline pre-approval policy right as Trump's tariff threats reached fever pitch. That's not coincidence, that's political chess at its finest. While other provinces wring their hands about American pressure, Saskatchewan positions itself as the solution provider.
Moe says the agreement will help address some of the ongoing uncertainty in trade markets and strengthen Canada's economy.
Furthermore, Saskatchewan's approach exposes the fundamental weakness in Canada's current energy strategy. For decades, Canadian energy policy has been reactive, responding to American demands and environmental protests. Saskatchewan's new approach is proactive, creating facts on the ground before opponents can organize resistance.
And the most straightforward way to achieve free and fair trade across the nation of Canada is quite simply to expand the New West Partnership to all provinces and territories across our great nation.
But let's talk about what this really means for average Canadians. Saskatchewan's pipeline strategy isn't just about moving oil, it's about economic sovereignty. Every barrel that flows through Canadian-controlled infrastructure instead of American pipelines represents money staying in Canadian pockets instead of flowing south.
Companies can freely bid and do commerce in other provinces.
Skeptics will argue that Saskatchewan's approach is too aggressive, too risky. They'll point to environmental concerns and regulatory challenges. But here's what they're missing. Saskatchewan isn't asking for permission anymore. They're creating a new reality where energy infrastructure gets built regardless of federal foot-dragging or environmental virtue signaling.
Pretty strong call there from Premier Moe to eliminate some of those barriers to internal trade in the country.
Ultimately, Saskatchewan's pipeline gambit represents something much bigger than energy policy. It's a province declaring independence from federal incompetence and American economic bullying simultaneously. Whether this strategy succeeds or fails will determine not just Saskatchewan's future, but Canada's position in North American energy markets for decades to come. The question isn't whether Saskatchewan's pipeline revolution will work. It's whether other provinces are smart enough to follow their lead before it's too late.
That oil is coming to U.S. refineries and it's creating jobs in places like Ohio, Iowa, Illinois.
CTA, subscribe to stay ahead of these major energy shifts because while mainstream media focuses on political theater, we're tracking the real power moves reshaping North America's energy future. Dig deeper into the numbers, and Saskatchewan's strategy becomes even more ruthless. Since their oil infrastructure program launched in 2020, they've already added 74,000 barrels per day of new pipeline capacity while attracting over $100 million in private investment. That's not theoretical. That's steel in the ground while other provinces hold environmental committee meetings.
We were working on that a decade and a half ago and continue to work on it today.
Want to know how ambitious Saskatchewan really is? They're targeting a 31% increase in crude production to hit 600,000 barrels per day by 2030. That's like building an entire new oil field from scratch. But here's the kicker. They're not just dreaming about it, they're building the pipes to carry it.
We've increased our export value drastically over the last 15 years.
Guess what most people don't realize about Saskatchewan's energy game? The province sits on nearly 1.2 billion barrels of proven oil reserves and controls a massive chunk of the Bakken Formation. That's not just transportation money. That's ownership of the entire value chain from wellhead to market.
With Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Ontario signing an agreement to build more pipelines.
Ever wonder why Saskatchewan seems so confident about their pipeline push? They operate 14 crude oil rail loading facilities with 461,000 barrels per day capacity. Pipeline gets blocked? No problem, switch to rail. Rail gets expensive? Back to pipelines. It's energy transportation chess while everyone else plays checkers. Carbon capture changes everything, and Saskatchewan knows it. Their program includes CO2 pipelines for enhanced oil recovery and emissions reduction. While other provinces debate climate policy, Saskatchewan builds the actual infrastructure that makes lower emission oil production possible. Smart or sneaky? You decide.
We have a lot positive to do in this country, building this country in a way, building one Canadian economy.
Let's talk about the big picture numbers that should terrify competitors. Canada's total pipeline export capacity hit 4.66 million barrels per day in 2024. Saskatchewan's positioned to grab an increasing slice of that massive pie, especially as their production scales towards 600,000 barrels daily.
We expect to have more products that originate from Saskatchewan come through the Port of Churchill and be exported to global markets.
Transportation geography gives Saskatchewan another ace up their sleeve. TC Energy's Canadian Mainline runs right through Saskatchewan territory, connecting Western production to Eastern markets. Every barrel flowing through means transportation fees, maintenance jobs, and provincial royalties. Location, location, location. Think private companies are throwing money at Saskatchewan just for fun? Over $100 million in private capital investment proves that industry sees real profits, not political theater. When CEOs risk their own shareholders' money, that's validation no government announcement can match.
We should increase trade across provinces is another thing to say we should build pipelines.
Resource diversification reveals Saskatchewan's true ambition. They're not just moving oil. They're positioning as the transportation hub for Ontario's Ring of Fire critical minerals. That transforms their pipeline network into essential infrastructure for Canada's entire resource economy. Brilliant or overreaching? Economic math gets interesting when you multiply 600,000 barrels daily by provincial royalties, transportation fees, and spin-off jobs. Saskatchewan's looking at economic transformation that makes their current oil revenues look like pocket change.
We're definitely focused on the medium and long term as well in building this trade enabling structure, which will then build more trade and more opportunities to export our resources and our commodities to global markets.
Global energy buyers increasingly demand supply security over cheap prices. Saskatchewan's pre-approval strategy sends one message to international markets. We deliver on time, every time. That reliability premium translates into long-term contracts and higher prices.
It's one thing to say we should increase trade across provinces.
Investment certainty becomes Saskatchewan's ultimate weapon. Their oil infrastructure program runs until March 2029 with 20% royalty tax credits up to $40 million. While other provinces change policies every election cycle, Saskatchewan offers the predictability that billion-dollar infrastructure investments require.
Agreements like this Western Partnership don't eliminate everything.
Opposition groups face a nightmare scenario with Saskatchewan's approach. Instead of fighting one pipeline project at a time, they must challenge an entire pre-approved system. That's like trying to stop a freight train by standing on the tracks. Technology advantages stack the deck even further in Saskatchewan's favor. Modern pipeline systems include real-time monitoring, automated leak detection, and AI-powered maintenance scheduling. Saskatchewan's new infrastructure will outperform aging American systems from day one.
So Andrew, there's of course lots of interest right now in eliminating those interprovincial trade barriers, of course with the US tariffs.
Trump's trade war creates perfect timing for Saskatchewan's energy independence play. Economic nationalism suddenly makes pipeline investments patriotic instead of controversial. Saskatchewan couldn't have scripted better political cover for their infrastructure revolution.
There are some savings there for businesses operating in the Western provinces, but this is by no means an instant solution for free trade overnight.
Strategic flexibility becomes more valuable as trade relationships shift. Saskatchewan's pipeline network reduces Canadian dependence on American transportation infrastructure. When the next trade dispute erupts, guess which province has alternatives ready? Don't forget to subscribe for more analysis that cuts through the political noise and reveals what's really driving Canada's energy future.